Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments, and help you with your HUT lineup decisions. Episode 129. Now, in the last episode, we talked about HUTverse, and if you liked it, and specifically, what would bring you to make X Factors and Chase cards again in NHL 26, because I think, given the landscape of how Team of the Year cards are just not receiving regular upgrades either, X Factors, the endurance issue, it's a disaster, really, for anyone that invested early on in the game. And I think that breaks a lot of trust about investing in them in the next game. So I was curious as to what you guys would say in terms of, what would they have to do to essentially make them interesting enough for you to use them. So in this episode, we're going to go over the last video's questions and comments and just going to see what you guys had to say. The number one liked comment, 25 likes on this, Jesus. Brock says, I love how they specifically made sure that all Team of the Year / season players didn't didn't get any upgrades. Hamilton is a 96 and McDavid is a 94. The dev team is such a joke. This is 100% a bad look. Like, I'm with you on this. I think that a fundamental thing when it comes to the cards that are at the top, tippy top, right? It has to be the stars, man. Like, because I agree. Imagine someone signs up for the game. Again, Joseph in Saskatoon. All right, he sits down. He's like, you know what? I feel like playing some NHL. He just got all horned up about the Edmonton Oilers Panthers rematch, and decides to sit down and play some Chell. And he loads up and he's like, man, I wonder what the best cards in the game are. Surely it's McDavid. And you're just left with like a what? Just absolutely absurd. And they definitely need to protect that for sure. Again, I'm going to say this quite a bit. I think the HUTverse release was good in a vacuum. Like 90 cards, some collection-based stuff. It's not great, but it is something with the, trading in the 4 young stars, getting an extra pack, and getting those cards back untradeable. That's like a massive, I thought they would be BND, by the way. That's a massive improvement, from not having that. So, but I agree, such a bad look. I'm still getting used to recording these at 7 a.m. I think the problem this year with Chase cards is EA didn't think long-term with them. Bro, before I go into this comment, I can give you 15 examples of them changing their mind because they did not have a set structured plan this year. And like, it's terrible because the content team should be able to map out 4 months in advance and just be like, here's the next 4 months, like that, like that's what it should be. And it's like, all right, what are we doing these 2 weeks? All right, now for the next event, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's like, 75 plus cards for extracting McDavid and icons were very expensive at the start of the game, but by time of the year dropped, and if not before, a lot of the hardcore player base had him at multiple icons. With how cheap they are to upgrade and how these chase cards get cheaper and cheaper to make by the day, by this time, everyone could easily have almost a full roster of them. I think they need to get rid of icons completely next year and come out with an X Factor series every season, and the fodder overall requirement goes up. Mix an alumni every other season or something. Make whatever supercharge that comes out each season match the exact stats of the highest. Yes, I agree with that. That way we don't have icons like Sundin that still have 90 skating while as MSP 95 or whatever. So I disagree with them being cheap now. I think that was a fundamental change in them releasing, how many cards they release or things like that. They demolished the value of every card, essentially, right? When they made it like 88s of the barrier of entry. That means 87 below is awful. But that being said, I do agree that X Factors should do a X Factor release every season or every other season. Like, that is almost what happens in MLB with Team Affinity. There's 32 teams, 32 X Factors. Next season, bang, 32 more. And, obviously, I think it would have to be every other season because then you run the risk of, like, people having, like, actually, I don't know. Do you? We're in season 6 right now, so we'd have 6 X Factor. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't hate that. The stats going up to match them, though, 100%. 100%. My main concern with HUTverse is I pulled all defensive players. I got 92 McKinnon. And I have to take off his Team of the Year to put his 92 on defense. Yeah, like, that's tough. For sure. You hate to see that. But that's just if I think if this set is going to be around for the whole year, right? Or the rest of the year, like I've already gotten like 9 and I just did the objectives, or 10, I've got the objectives. So I think they'll be easy to pull. They're also, boys, they're also in the exchange sets. So the 88 or 89 overall exchange set, if you do them, you have a chance to pull an 89 overall, and that 89 overall could be a Huffer's car. I saw a couple people do it. Wouldn't recommend it, but I'm just saying it's in there. I'm extremely glad that stamina plays a factor. If it didn't, you get people who just load up on 2 to 3 lines and play them all game, which isn't realistic. I like seeing people have to juggle getting their line changes in and do them at the right time so you don't get caught with their pants down like we see in the AHL. So, I agree with this. However, I think that you are not realizing the time the discrepancies here. So, what is happening right now is because we play 5-minute period or 3-minute periods or whatever it is, right? When you're line changing now, you're basically getting every line out once, maybe your second line out twice in a period. And that is awful. It's not because in real hockey, the top end guys play an entire period. They play 1/3. They play 20 minutes a night, right? Defensemen play, however long, like 25, right? The first 2 lines should drain much slower, because the third and fourth line, everything is equal in the video game, but it's not in real life because the top end guys stay out there longer and they still play at a very high level. I don't know. I don't disagree that having to change lines in this game is far more important, which I love. I wish it wasn't broken. Like, I wish there was some AI to be like, hey, there's a 2-on-1 here. I wanted to switch my defense, my D pair up, and they both just go, as opposed to, being like, hey, all right, 1 second here. I don't know how many times where I've dumped the puck in, gone for a line change, and then my defenseman is like stuck getting into the bench and then off the bench, in the bench, off the bench, and the rush comes down. I'm like, oh, I have no one. It's like a 3-on-0. But yeah, like the time on ice is the issue here. Because if you look at your time on ice or your players, man, there's a pretty big discrepancy by the end of the game. Or there isn't a big discrepancy, sorry. I'll only buy back into chase cards if EA confirms they're the best. We can't have a random Heiskanen card at 95 speed and then the X Factor at 93. The chase cards need to match. The cost of these is ridiculous, and they throw in a random card in packs that's better. I 100% agree. I think that getting rid of, if the new content team wants to completely just get rid of everything that the prior content team ever came up with, but they've got to keep X Factors or upgrade cards, 100%, it was a rule of the old team that the overalls didn't match. And I think that the overalls should match. The problem is that, like, let's say there's a heavy hitter event and some random card gets a 99 body checking and he's only got like 85, but he's already like a 93 overall. Does that bump him all the way to like 96? You know what I mean? Because like it's a calculation of the all ratings. I don't know. That'd be interesting though. All they need to do for chase cards is have the stat match the current card. I'm starting to see a trend here, fellas. So I'm definitely gonna they're never gonna talk to me. I wait, like that is clear. Like, I've seen enough people here now. Hey, Sleaze, my favorite content is always on an only NHL HUT creator I watch regularly. I appreciate that, man. I had a few things to add on what I saw in the last episode. Hopefully this isn't too long. I'll preface this by saying the UI absolutely needs an overhaul for this to work. Calling this UI clunky is a compliment to the S tier of the clunkiest products everywhere. Anyway, don't disagree. I don't think the auction house needs to be split apart, but a few things need to be tweaked to make it something that people will mess with. Give us tags so that when stuff is posted, the poster is able to indicate what they're looking for. Coins only, check. Open to trades, check. That's interesting. I don't hate that. Open to trades specifying certain overalls, like certain overall range, position, etc. So that's like franchise mode. That would be super in-depth for sure. Maybe if you could just post what cards you're looking for. I think that might be better. Just make things easier for the folks browsing to know whether or not they should offer a trade and have all their offerings unavailable for the next 8 hours while they wait for the listings to expire. I think you should be able to pull back your offer. That would solve the card stuck For folks listing stuff on the auction house, it should show the actual helpful relevant data. Stuff like exact same card, minimum max listing price, similar overall max listing price, average selling price of the exact and same overall cards within the last 24 hours. Give the person the ability to have some info when they go to post something instead of making them do guess or do their homework within the awful UI prior to having them getting listed. Dude, this is in MLB. There's literally a chart that can show like the last like 2 months of the sale price of each individual card. One of the best quality of life features, because I agree. You get random people that have no idea what to post cards for. People don't even know that you can compare cards. So for anyone that doesn't know, if you go to your collection, or in the auction house, and you click on a card and it says compare card, it'll show you all of just that card. It'll separate all of just that card. I would 100% agree with that. That'd be so helpful, man. We just need the Hut API. Oh, if I could get that, man, I could post it on Hut Hub, man. Leave chase cards behind and evolve them. Don't make it about players chasing a single card. That really isn't rewarding until they finally get it. Well, that's like all video games, though. Create something that makes Hut teams unique aside from their names. Something foundational that we can build our teams around. We have our favorite teams, and we're all familiar with our leadership groups. Make that a foundational part of building a Hut team. I don't just mean assigning a captain and assistants, but let players name leadership groups for their Hut team that are locked in. Have that leadership group automatically level as a card overall increase throughout the year. Maybe let players buy and apply certain MSP artwork for their players they've chosen to be part of in the leadership group. The artwork thing, that's in Madden, I'm pretty sure. Like if you get a card of the same player, you can like change their artwork. I'm with you on that. I think that's for sure sick to do the artwork thing. How many players would create multiple Hut teams just to mess with so they enjoy building their team? I agree. Way too foundational, though. Or way too franchise, though. I think you need to make it a little bit simpler. But I do like for sure the max pricing. That's sick. I would get chase card if they match the stats of that card. Hey, Slaves, I've been playing Hut for 3 years, and because of you, I just learned how to edit my power play lines. When it comes to your question you posed in the video, I think back to NHL 24. There were problems for sure in content, but when it came to the collectible system, an X factor for each team, and monthly icon +1 to their overall, I think they hit the nail on the head at this to start. The monthly upgrades could get boring at times, but it made you look forward to each month and give you a guarantee of a 99 overall by the end of the year. Also, every team getting an X factor was perfect for theme team builds. Sorry for the... Bro, preaching to the choir, man. Last year at the start, the old content team did the launch content, and then it slowly started to like transition. Oh man, you don't know what you have till it's gone, because it's so simple. I say this a lot. Like I don't knock the new content team for trying new things. I don't know how many times you can go back into videos, probably in videos like these, where myself and other creators and other players are just harping on that the old content team is doing the exact same thing all the time. The problem is that content team has basically been using the same, tech architecture in game for 7 years of Hut, and they've mastered what they have available to them. Until the tech team that builds Hut, kind of like the XP path, for example, which is why this year's so frustrating. Things like that, fundamentally changing the game from a tech standpoint. Until that we see more of that, the content team is kind of hindered. But they mastered what we had, and there hasn't been enough change this year. They really change in the tech. There was a massive change in content this year. But I'm with you on a lot of that. So I'm with you. Great video. A lot of great ideas thrown around. That's why I love these videos, man, because people just start throwing out random comments, and it's like there's bits and pieces where I'm like, yo, that's an idea. And, it gets me excited because I feel like the player base is the ones that could come up with the best idea if you really figure it out. One idea to fix the chase cards is to up the endurance on them as they get upgrades. Megalodon, what's up? Twitch viewer Megalodon. Okay, so this was implemented. I can give you the background on this in terms of endurance and why it is the way it is. Endurance in NHL 23 was changed to what it is now because when they put the full pressure system in the game, what was happening was as Hut went along, all of their endurance went up to 99. And obviously, the full pressure system, while it would still impact their endurance and their stamina and all of that, but the main feature of the game, I don't agree with it being good, but the main feature of the game was the full pressure system and whatnot. So when Hut was going to 99, endurance ruined that because even if they got full pressure, their endurance wouldn't tick down enough. So Their change to that was like, okay, we'll fix that. We'll just stop endurance at whatever it is. And it's like, okay, but it needs to be static across the board. Like if you're gonna have 85 or 99 be the highest, there needs to be a massive trade-off for that, right? Like there needs to be an event. Like the double shift event is a perfect event at the beginning of the game. Like you give the guys that have had the most ice time in the history of the NHL or some crazy, stuff like that. And then you put them at the second event of the year. And they have all the normal base launch stats, all of that, but they have 99 endurance. And it's like, that's kind of interesting because now you've got cards that have maybe 87 speed, which is not fantastic, but at launch of the game, it's in the higher range, but they can stay on the ice the whole time. Now the event is like, oh, okay, we're cooking here. You release at the end of the year, all the other cards, almost all the other cards for the last little while have high 90s endurance, right? So much of this game, it goes back to one of the first comments about lack of planning. And they have a lot of good events. They do. Like when you think about the events that have come out, some of them have been flops, but a lot of them have been flops because of the timing. I'm going to give you this. This example is going to go down in the next 10 years. I'm sure I'll talk about it. The Gallery of Greats event comes out. Everyone, it's alumni, which is like whatever, but it was the first alumni event, I believe. And they all got free abilities. And it was like, that hadn't been done, and it pissed a lot of people off because it was basically the signifying that the chase cards are now no longer a thing. But let's assume that we know there will be free ability events randomly. Gallery of Greats event in a vacuum, incredible. Every card was like, I don't know who to choose, but I want to choose them. That is when you know you have a banger event. When you don't see the same players every single time on every team, like it's not like one or two of every event. You see multiple different cards. That's when you know. And I wanted to get as many on my team as I could. That was fantastic. The very next event was the Hut 2000s event. There's so many people that played the game year round that completely forgot about that. The Hut 2000s event had an incredible mechanic in it. So, for anyone that didn't play, here's how it worked. Christmas launched. Gallery of Greats event came out, okay? And so all the Christmas noobs, the Christmas noobs represent one of the biggest influxes in the player base the entire year, rivaling launch, okay? So it's not like just a few new players. It's historically in NHL. It's crazy. The very next event was the Hut 2000s event, where in that event, okay, so we get the Gallery of Greats right after Christmas, and then the 2000s event comes out. And it's like, whatever, they don't get free abilities. So you've shot yourself in the foot because the Gallery of Greats event had free abilities. Now it's like, I'm not doing this. I have to pay for these abilities. That's stupid, right? But it had a mechanic in there where you could trade in like 4 MSPs and get like 8. And for any brand new player, that was massive. The other issue, though, is that the very next event was Team of the Year. And you gave us a roadmap so we knew, which was awesome. But if you simply went Hut 2000s right at Christmas kids log in. They got 2 weeks. They can build some MSPs, play the game because they're excited to get the game, and they can get like 9 cards that they could use in their lineup. Or let's say 6 that they could use in their lineup. They're account bound, sure, but you've caught up. Great mechanic. The very next event is Gallery of Greats. It's like, dude, Team of the Year is right after. Everyone's saving everything that they can for that event. Gallery of Greats event comes out right before Team of the Year, and you get a lot of people to just be like, just blow through their collection because of how good that event was. And then it's Team of the Year. And then you've got 3 events back to back where it's like, holy smokes. Like, we're exhausted from having to grind the game because of so many good events in a row, right? Like, that's how it should be. You know, you got it. They came up with a lot of good ideas. They cooked on a lot of good ideas. It's simply planning and timing, man. Like that double shift event, when I saw it, really cool idea because it's new. 99 endurance, sure, all of that. I think that if that was the second week or like even like the third week of the game, massive improvement there. Also, one thing before I forget, they need to make some new X factors, and one of them that I can't believe they haven't made is a stamina one. Someone whose endurance trickles down very low in the defensive zone and doesn't get impacted by the full pressure system. Is that not when I remember seeing the full pressure system and the X factor still being in the game, I couldn't believe that they hadn't put that in because that is such a good ability for some of the mechanics of the game. Like if you put that on a defenseman and you've got like a rock solid defenseman that can just stay out there and not get tired. Like that'd be huge. I think that'd just be a really good idea. A lot of fun ideas today, fellas. I really enjoyed it, and ladies, Megalodon. Thank you guys again. I love these, and as throughout the summer, obviously the topic of the current game is going to fade quite a bit, and I think that what we could do is just bounce around ideas about what we'd like to see in game and what we'd see improved in Hut. But anyways, thank you guys again for hanging out and watching my video, guys. Go and watch my face-off video. I'm not a great editor, but I spent 20 plus hours on that video. If you can't become mediocre at face-offs after watching that video, there's no hope. So go watch that. Have a good one.